We have updates on a future Leprechaun film, a future Blair Witch film, and maybe even a future Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Let's get into all of this.
What's your favorite scary movie? Amen.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing now.
We're gonna get you. Oh, blood on the beast!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes death is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we have updates on a plethora of different movies coming in the future at some points. First and foremost, we're talking about Dashcam from the creators of Host that came out in 2020, a fantastic found footage flick if you have not seen it, a new Leprechaun movie, a new Blair Witch movie, and possibly even a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. We're going to get into all those things in just a second here, but if you're new, I would appreciate you guys subscribing and of course just liking this video. It really helps this channel grow, and I would greatly appreciate it, one human being to another. One horror-loving human being to hopefully another out there somewhere in the universe. So, getting into our first story, Dashcam. I want to talk a little bit about this movie and shed some light on it because I'm very excited for it. It's from the creators of Host. If you saw that back in 2020, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a fantastic little 60-minute found footage flick that you can find on Shudder currently, and I highly recommend it. If you even just the slightest bit like found footage, you will love Host. So I'm very excited to see what they do next with Dashcam. Yet again, another found footage entry about a very abrasive musician who goes on like she's like an Uber driver essentially, and she plays music while she starts jamming out some tunes or something while she's going, and then a bunch of paranormal stuff happens on the drive. I'm very excited to see this film. If it's anything like Host, I'm sure it's going to be very enjoyable. I've heard some early reviews of the film that it's like a bit in your face with the social commentary, which if you saw Host, definitely a little bit of social commentary there. But what I appreciated about it was it wasn't in your face. It was like kind of in the background. Like there's that scene where you have the two girls meeting up in the one girl's apartment and they're wearing the masks. Like they even say something about that. It was kind of a commentary on everything that was going on in 2020, which I don't want to elaborate any further on because I've seen other channels unfortunately get their channels taken down just by talking about it. Don't understand any of that, but basically I do think we're once again going to have that social commentary here in Dashcam. I just hope it's not too in your face because that can really ruin a horror movie. The best example of this is the original Black Christmas is just a masterpiece. I love it. And it's one of the most like feminist movies ever made, and it's done so well. It really expresses it's like, hey, women can do this shit too. Fuck yeah, let's go, baby. Ugh, female power. But then the 2019 movie is just like way too in your face about it and completely forgets to be a horror movie at the end of the day. There's really not any, there's like one sequence where something kind of scary happens, and it's unfortunate because it's like, then you didn't deliver on what people came there for. You didn't, I paid for a horror movie and I got someone standing on their soapbox giving me a political rant essentially, which was my problem with the 2019 movie. You gotta be able to balance your social message and the horror stuff correctly, or else you're gonna lose a lot of your audience. It's something I agree with too, and I just didn't love that 2019 film. It was too in your face. Had to back off a little with that and add a little more of the horror element to get that balance correctly. I think Jordan Peele does that perfectly in both of his films we've seen so far by balancing the message with the actual element of horror, because his movies are still very scary, but then he also has this very powerful social message that's fantastic. So hopefully with Dashcam we get that, and hopefully it's not too in your face with the message, because I'm worried it might ruin the whole horror aspect of it. The teaser came out for it today though, and we also got a release date of June 3rd. So I'm very excited for it. The teaser really didn't give much away. It's kind of footage we've already seen from when there was like some stuff announced. I believe it went to some film festival or whatever, and we saw some some footage from it already. This was just, it's old footage. It's really nothing new, but we did get the release date. So June 3rd, let's go. A month and a half away essentially until that comes out. Our second story is all about Leprechaun. Now there are 8 Leprechaun movies to date, and all of them are very enjoyable except like the last 2 essentially, where they really just tried to change up like the tone and like what the movies are. Warwick Davis, who is Leprechaun, like is the character. His last film unfortunately in this franchise was Leprechaun Back to the Hood, the 6th entry in the Leprechaun franchise, and I think all the movies with him are just fantastic, so silly, and just this really fun ride all the way through. Super Freddy Krueger inspired, and just a really silly slasher all around. Now, director Darren Lynn Bousman, who is of course known for directing, like, for most recently Spiral from the Book of Saw and some of the other Saw sequels. That's just off the top of my head what I can think of that he's done. He has been like begging Lionsgate for years now via Twitter and his social media to pitch, like, to give his pitch for a new Leprechaun movie. And basically what it boils down to, without going through like the whole quote, is he wants to make something that takes place within the frame of like Leprechaun 1 and Leprechaun Back to the Hood, because that's like the 6 Warwick Davis movies, and that's another thing he demands, to bring back Warwick Davis, because like I said, the last 2 movies I personally don't care for. Maybe if you really like them, that's awesome, but it seems like a lot of fans of this franchise would like to get back to a movie with Warwick Davis, because just like how Robert Englund is Freddy Krueger, I feel like he, whose name is very hard for me to pronounce if you haven't been able to tell at this point, is Leprechaun. Like, he is the character. So I really think that if they're going to do another one of these, they have to bring him back. It's a must. He's just so iconic in the role. He does it so well. He's a phenomenal actor. I love him in everything he's in. He's also in some of the Harry Potter movies. He's just great all around. So hopefully we can get another movie with him, and hopefully this pitch involves the character, no matter who is sitting in the director's chair. Hopefully it's Darren Lynn Bousman, but you never know, I guess, in this day and age. I think because he's been begging Lionsgate for such a long time, like, you'd think they would consider him, right? I mean, I don't know. But I will say this, another thing, if you are a screenwriter out there in the Hollywood realm or whatever, and you're just like sitting around doing nothing, Lionsgate is looking for pitches right now. So go ahead, send them your copy, whatever. If you got something already typed up, boom, send it out into the world. So check that out. The same goes with the Blair Witch Project, which they're also looking to make another movie, which is my next story. Also, Lionsgate kind of announced this on Monday, talking a little bit about how they want to reboot the Blair Witch franchise. They're looking for ideas. Send them your pitches if you got that too. If you got a Leprechaun or a Blair Witch pitch just sitting in your Google Docs or something, send it their way. Boom, there you go. Something I will say that's really interesting about the Blair Witch Project, though, is that with the sequels, the second one, Book of Shadows, I believe it's called, and the 2016 film directed by Adam Wingard, the original creators really had no input on either of those films, which I think is odd. That's a very strange thing considering how successful that original film was. And like I've expressed my opinions on that film, I don't think it's aged very well, but for what it is from the time period, it's amazing. I mean, it's truly one of the most interesting horror film stories of all time, and I respect it for that. But I personally just don't think it's that great of a movie. I think if you're watching it with the perspective of this is real and you're truly convinced of that, it's one of the scariest things you've probably ever seen. But without that now, 20 some years later, it's just not that scary, I don't think. It's really just 3 people running around and screaming in the woods. But with a new film, I think what they should do to continue what was so successful with the last film, the 2016 movie, which I actually personally really liked. It's just a straight up found footage movie that is much more closer to some modern found footage that we have, which is what I really enjoyed about it. And I like that you actually get to see the witch. I mean, I know that's what a lot of people like about the original movie, is that you don't get to see it and you don't really know what happens. It's left up to interpretation. And that was great back in 1999 when you didn't have like the advanced versions of the internet that we have nowadays, where you can just kind of look up stuff and fact check things. That was awesome back then. But I think to move forward with the franchise, you can't really do that again in this day and age. What you can do, though, is make an excellent found footage film. So if they're going to be successful moving forward with this 4th entry, I say they just do exactly, not exactly, but something similar to that 2016 film, where it's just characters, it's found footage, it's scary, you have some jump scares here and there. That's probably the best way to do it, because I don't think you're going to convince people for the 4th entry in this franchise that it's real. Again, I really don't think that's going to be the case. We're way past that now in this era of found footage. Hopefully the original creators have some kind of input there, because it's kind of crappy that in their 2 sequels they really didn't have much involvement with that. I just think that kind of sucks. Hopefully they have more involvement this time around. Our biggest story of this video, though, comes with A Nightmare on Elm Street possibly getting some kind of reboot, remake, or some kind of continuation sometime real soon. So basically there was this Copyright Act of 1978, which I'm not going to bore you about all of that crap, but basically what that entails is that if a studio does not use an IP for a certain amount of time, they could lose it, and those rights go back to the original creator, whoever like that could have been, meaning the Craven estate in this case. So basically, Warner Bros. Is thinking about, since they haven't put out a new movie since 2010 with the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which was super successful, but critically panned by most of the fans and just people who saw it in general. It's not that great of a movie, in my opinion. they are kind of starting to get worried, and they're thinking about probably rebooting the franchise. And if they were to lose that IP, that's a lot of money. So they obviously are going to put something out to keep it, and hopefully it's something good this time around. Because yes, there has been this stigma with like movies like that where they'll just put out movies to keep the IP, and it's not usually something good. It's kind of like Disney does this a lot with their live action remakes. That's why we even get those films, just so that they can keep the rights to The Lion King, Aladdin, for example, from recent years. So hopefully this isn't a Pet Sematary remake situation, because I just feel like that movie had a lot going for it that not only the trailer spoiled, but there was just things about it that felt really unresolved by the end of the film. The Pet Sematary remake from 2019 is like just okay, in my opinion. It is just a middle of the road kind of movie, and I feel like you can do a lot with that idea and expand upon it. And yes, they do change some stuff, but like I said, they spoiled all of that in the trailer. The massive change about that movie is like one of the first things you see in the trailer, and it's just like, what? The Pet Sematary remake trailer is maybe one of my least favorite trailers of all time. I'll shut up about that though. But with The Nightmare on Elm Street, they're thinking about rebooting it, and I just really don't think that Robert Englund is probably going to play the role. Now, there's a few factors in that where my mind could change on that whole idea. You know, Robert Englund's getting up there, man. He doesn't want to get into all that makeup again and like do another Freddy Krueger movie. He's an older man now, and that's understandable. I mean, like, I'm shocked that Tobin Bell has even expressed interest in doing another Saw movie. I mean, he's getting up there too. So the fact that Robert Englund is even being considered is pretty amazing. And if he were to reprise the role of Freddy Krueger, that would be awesome. But we also have to realize that, like, he's an older man now. He might not want to reprise the role, and that's totally understandable. I've talked a little bit in the past about how I would love to see Glenn Howerton play the role. I just think he like, if you've ever seen Always Sunny in Philadelphia, he's Dennis from that show. He has this like psychotic edge that he plays very well, with also mixing humor into that. And isn't that perfect for Freddy Krueger? I think so. I think he would kill it in that role. And also, like, the way his face is shaped, I could see him putting on that makeup and looking like Freddy Krueger. I could see him doing the role. The only thing about him that is like kind of a negative for me is his voice. It's a little more high pitched. It's not quite Charlie Day high, where it's like all the way up here, you know, it's not like quite Charlie Day. He's like a little more down here, you know, it's like, hey, I'm Glenn Howard. And no, listen, I need to do this. So it's a little higher pitched than I would like. So maybe if they had like a voice actor or something come in and do his lines, I could see that working. But maybe a better choice for the role is character actor Richard Brake, who is most famously known as probably his biggest role, the Night King on the Game of Thrones. I could also see him doing the role very well. Once again, the face shape I think is perfect for Freddy Krueger. You put him in that makeup, what does that look like? Pretty close to Robert Englund, I think. So I would love to see either of those actors portray the character. I've had some other suggestions, and if you want to leave me a suggestion about who you think should play Freddy Krueger, who you think is the best choice for the role, leave me something about it in the comments below. We can discuss it there. So what do you guys think about all this news, though? We have updates on a plethora of different horror movies. What did you guys think about all this? What are you the most excited from all of these stories? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this new update video on a bunch of different horror movies. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror movie updates. Also, if you want to see this channel grow further, make sure to support me on either Patreon or my channel membership. It's the exact same thing, so don't do both. But if you want to support me there, you get to see at least an extra video every single week if you support me at the Ghostface tier. If you support me at some of the other tiers, you get a bunch of other really cool stuff. So thank you all again for watching this video, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.